Hey, thank you. So when I was growing up, I came from a very conservative Asian background, and in the summer times, I would work various internships. I started off doing computer programming internships, working in finance in Wall Street, and then when I went to university, on my last year, my father thought I was going to be an investment banker. I was going to go work in New York City and maybe work for Goldman Sachs. So I was celebrating my birthday at a Mexican restaurant called Chevy's. It's an American restaurant where you wear a sombrero on your birthday. You get this like big sombrero full of chips and salsa, and then you wear the sombrero. So I'm wearing this big sombrero, and my parents said, so now that you're about to graduate, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to New York City? Are you going to become an investment banker? I said, well, recently I met this magician. That starts off really bad. So I go, recently I met this magician. And then I met this guy who's a cover story writer for Rolling Stone. I met this guy from the internet, and he goes by the nickname Tyler Durden. And what we're going to do is we're going to take guys out to bars and clubs. We're going to pick up girls with them as their wingman, tell them exactly what to say, what to do demonstrations, and then at the end of the day, we'll go debrief, maybe somewhere like Denny's, and we'll tell them what they did right and wrong. So my parents look at each other, and they laugh hysterically for 5 minutes straight. And I was looking at them, and I said, no, this is serious. And after about 5 minutes of them, they're just laughing hysterically. They told me, that was the funniest thing you've ever said. They're crying at this time. Until about 4 months later, I move into a $6 million mansion dedicated to picking up girls. Then they're saying things like, we're going to disown you, we're going to cut you out, we're not going to pay your college tuition, and everything's gone downhill from there. But now they're really supportive of the business. But just out of curiosity, who here actually has heard about real social dynamics before actually coming to this seminar? All right, awesome. I actually recognize some of you guys. Okay, so that's great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hopefully sum up a lot of the concepts you guys talked about: publishing, internet marketing, sales, some of the ways people actually perform as speakers when they're on stage. And I wanted to try to sum it all up so that you guys could actually create a business upon your own passions, like how going out to bars and clubs was one of my passions. So first of all, I'm going to tell you guys what Real Social Dynamics is, since the majority of you guys are completely new to who we are. So we do live seminars since 2012, or 2002, sorry. So we've been doing this for a long time. We're doing it in 270 cities and 70 countries. In fact, in 2008, I actually personally went to every single one of those cities and countries and ran a seminar for 4 hours. We do over 1,000 seminars a year, all of them in English. But we have over 1,000 people working for us around the world. We're ranked as the 860th fastest growing company in the world according to Inc. magazine. And it's mostly due to word of mouth. It wasn't until recently that we actually started spending money again on advertising. Yeah, 1 year we spent a lot of money in advertising, but right now we spend less than $50 a month on advertising. And most of that is just retargeting ads. And for those of you that are new to internet marketing, I'll tell you guys what that is later. So today we're the world's largest dating coaching company. So what we teach is a boot camp. It's a one-on-one, two-on-one, or three-on-one maximum program where you take you guys out to bars and clubs with the wingman, a guy who's not just a wingman, but an instructor who's really good at approaching, talking to girls, getting the girls interested in you, and then giving it to you in your own city, your own hometown, doing demonstrations. We also do seminars, we publish books, DVDs, CDs, monthly membership sites, all the stuff that you guys are learning about and buying in the back of the room for your info seminars. I'm actually probably the only person in the room today who's not selling a business program at the end. I'm just here to offer value today. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my story. So I've been going out to bars and clubs since I was 12 years old. My father was a university professor. He was teaching computer science. So what I had to do was actually take his classes. I created a website little business when I was 13, 14, something like that. And then I went to boarding school. And I guess when I was in boarding school, I got really interested in throwing parties. So I threw my first party in New York City. I rented out a bar and club. It was called Club Apple. And this club eventually went out of business for underage drinking, probably because they were renting out the clubs to people like myself who had a fake ID that said I was actually over 21. And then when I got into college, I started throwing really elaborate parties. These parties were in national magazines, and they were crazy. Things like renting out 2 giant 55-foot motor yachts, and then like having masquerade balls with like ice sculptures, inviting celebrities, doing all sorts of crazy events. But even though I met a lot of pretty girls from this, I actually wasn't able to get girls that were actually interested in dating me. They were interested just in going to my parties. So I was really interested and learning how to change that. So I was in my fraternity, I was throwing parties, and one day one of my fraternity brothers said, hey, there's this website dedicated to picking up girls. It talks about all these tactics, and they're really fascinating. You should go check it out. So I checked it out, and I got so intrigued by this, I decided to drop everything I was doing. It was my senior year in college. I was at the University of Wisconsin studying economics and engineering, and I decided that what I was going to do is just stop showing up to class, just showing up for tests, and just traveling around the world, meeting all these guys that were talking smack on the internet about picking up girls. And what I did was just got so intrigued by these guys, thought they were so talented, I decided to just start writing articles and posting until I was about $60,000 in credit card debt. And I had no job, I had no way to get out of that necessarily. So I guess one day, one random guy was reading one of my articles my friends were writing on the internet, and thousands of people were reading this at the time. And he said, you know what, I'll pay for your flight down to San Diego to actually meet me. And I met the world's strangest person on the planet. Because I actually said yes. I said, but I was hanging out with my buddy Tyler at the time, and he said, hey, tell him that I'm the missing piece to his game, and that I have to go down there with you, or else he won't go. So I wrote Tyler is the missing piece, and he actually flew both me and my buddy Tyler down there. So we met this guy, and he was the strangest guy. He had a tattoo on his arm that said, for a good time, call my mom. And underneath that was his mom's telephone number. And he'd walk up to girls and show them the tattoo, really proud, because he was on this MTV show, it's a prank show, and he got put unconscious, and he woke up with this tattoo, and he's so proud that a TV show actually put this tattoo on his arm. So this guy was a 29-year-old virgin. He was also a 13-year in college student who just didn't graduate, had no friends. He had never dated a girl. He was super awkward, super weird. The first thing he did was take us to his bedroom and show us a collection of sex toys. And he's like, hey, you want to touch this? I'm like, no, I don't. And he took us to where we were sleeping, and this place had no heat, no electricity. We were sleeping on the floor, and we had to build a bed out of clothing from our suitcase. And this guy said, you know, I want you to help me pick up girls. So we went out for 2 weeks to his campus at UC San Diego to pick up girls. We did demonstrations, we walked up, and after 2 weeks, he got some phone numbers, but nothing much more than that. But then we just decided to go for like 1 week in Los Angeles, just a short drive from San Diego. So we go out there, and he meets this 6-foot model, actually gets a kiss from her, and he starts posting it on the internet. Now, anyone who's this weird and actually meets us from the internet is very vocal as well. So this guy was probably the most famous internet troll on the internet at the time. This is back in 2001, 2002. So everyone knew this guy as the famous super weirdo. And so he said, look, I just kissed this gorgeous model, and these guys came down and showed me how to pick up girls, and they helped me out. So everyone's like, no, these guys are complete figments of your imagination. They're fabrications. They don't exist. So we decided that what we were going to do is we post on the internet and said, actually, we actually did it. And if you want, meet us at Starbucks Coffee in New York City at Union Square. And we will actually just share with you some of the things we did. So we went down there, and we had about 40 people show up. So we decided to organize, right in the middle of Starbucks, a 40-person, 2-hour seminar talking about how to pick up girls. And at the end, I mean, we're completely broke. I'm over my limit with my credit card. And we said, you know what, I actually flew out here just for you guys. So I was crashing the couch of a random guy I also met on the internet. And I said, if any of you guys want to come out with us this weekend, we'll actually pick up girls with you, be your wingman, it'll be a lot of fun. And all you have to do is show up on Friday and give us $600. So if one of you guys shows up, it covers all of our costs. So out of that group, 18 people showed up that weekend. And so me and my wingman, we took these guys out to the bars, the clubs, the train stations, Union Park, Union Square, Central Park. We picked up girls with them, demonstrations. It was some pretty crazy stuff back then, because we actually met these guys during a time when on the internet, people were practicing NLP and hypnosis to pick up girls. And they were doing the weirdest things on the planet. And the fact that we could actually show them that you don't need to hypnotize a girl for her to like you was just a shocking epiphany for these guys. And as a result, these guys actually got to CES, and it kind of blew their minds away that they could actually start approaching girls, picking up girls. And so we decided to do the same thing the next weekend in San Francisco. So we organized an event at the lobby of the Marriott Hotel. And then we went down to the lounge bar area. And the cool thing about big hotels like the Marriott or Hyatt or whatever is that nobody goes to the bar area. So we actually had another large group of like 30, 40 people show up, and we didn't have to pay a dime for the venue. We just had a group there, and we said, look, if you guys want to come out with us this weekend at $600, show up. And another 18 people showed up. So we said, this is amazing. We did it next weekend in San Diego, next weekend in LA, the next weekend in Miami, next weekend in London. We had 60 people show up for that weekend program. And about 4 months later, we took over this $6 million mansion in the Hollywood Hills, put down a deposit. It's the former Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra party house, the Rat Pack Mansion. And I've decided that I was going to turn this into a training facility in our office and live this awesome lifestyle. We called it Project Hollywood Mansion. The goal was to live the lifestyle of the stars, and we were doing this just to meet more girls. We just wanted to meet more girls and said, look, we're going to live this awesome lifestyle. It's going to be crazy. So what I did is I took this experience I had when I was in the Air Force Reserve's Officer Training Corps. And in that program, you could go on a boot camp. And their boot camp was you go to a military barracks, it's full of bunk beds. So what I did is I filled this mansion with bunk beds. And you could go to this mansion for $1,500, stay there, and then instead of a drill sergeant, you have some pickup artists talking to you about how to pick up girls. You go out to the bars and clubs, you bring them back to the mansion for an after party, and it got great results. Started doing this every single weekend for $1,500, eventually raised it to $2,000, and had all sorts of crazy, crazy experiences. You know, everything from having Courtney Love live with us and running around our house naked and stealing stuff from our roommates, to having rock stars coming over performing, to having crazy like parties, having like one of my roommates was like a writer who wrote the autobiography of Jenna Jameson, and he was hooking up with porn stars in their backyard. And then we're teaching programs every single weekend, every single week doing this. And at the same time, I decided to go to get my MBA. So I did that, went through one MBA program I thought was so awesome, signed up for another one. I signed up for the program at USC afterwards, did that, and it was just awesome. And after a few years of teaching this program, I decided that I was just going to start hiring instructors, like Ozzy, who's you can see behind the camcorder in the back of the room. And I decided that what I was going to do was also stop teaching, focus just on the business administration. And I got involved with throwing parties. And one of the people that threw a party at our house got involved with throwing this party called Xeni, where every weekend they would rent out these movie studios and mansions in the Hollywood Hills. People paid anywhere from $1,000 to $20,000 a month, had about 1,000 members, and it was amazing. It was the way to get around the whole like all-night party rule, where and in California, all the bars have to close at 2 a.m. But if you have a private party, you could have it all night long. So we were able to have all-night parties. You had like gorgeous girls, everyone from People Magazine you ever heard of, famous musicians perform, until like the party organization got the plug pulled on it. And after that hit, the recession also hit. And so I decided that in order to make ends meet, because when the recession hit, our revenues got demolished temporarily. And so what I decided to do was organize a world tour. So we got rid of the mansion. I moved into a place outside the mansion in Pasadena, got an office, and decided to organize a tour. So what I did for the next year and a half is I took every single city in the world that had English-speaking people and a population over 1 million people and that was not at war, and just put it on the internet. At the time, we had millions of people on our website. I decided that if I just go to these cities, because our content is just so awesome, when people actually see our in-field video footage, hear our instructors speak, learn, and actually see the life improvement changes in their life, because remember, we don't spend money in advertising, it's all word of mouth. They'll go through this program and it'll just be sold. So I'd go to these seminars. Average seminar was like 40, 50 people, but sometimes it was like 400. And I'd convince 20% of them by the end to sign up for one of our programs at the end. And it just allowed us to grow from there. I took a train on Eurorail, 21 days, 21 countries. I drove my car, which was at the time the fastest BMW in LA. It was a modified 3 Series that had a custom-made engine. It had a traffic light changer, the kind that the FBI used. It had custom everything. It's like Fast and Furious style. I would head-to-head with the Lamborghini Murcielago and actually beat it at the California Motor Speedway. And I drove this car, I actually put a post, kind of like how Craigslist you put a post. We have something called RSD Nation, which is our own social network just dedicated to people who are fans of us. I put up a post that, hey, anyone who wants to be my intern could drive my car around the country. And we would just go and do these seminars. You'd be my intern, you could help carry my bags, you could drive me around, you could do whatever. So I had 50 people apply for the job. I chose one guy, this guy named Big Ray. He was like the high school football quarterback for his school, and he decided to drive my car around the country, and I did 1 to 3 cities a day of seminars, morning, afternoon, evening, different cities, just driving around from city to city, doing these 4-hour seminars that upsold our programs, but also gave great content. Today it's called the RSD Free Tour. It was an awesome program. I actually took guys into the field, and when I did it here in London, my favorite story was actually doing it from London, because I took everyone in the field as an exercise to go pick up girls. I said, everybody, there's 300 people in the room, everybody now has an assignment. For the next hour and a half, you're gonna do what I call a mission impossible. It's not because it's an impossible mission, it's because you're gonna be pushing your boundaries beyond what you think is beyond the world of possibilities for yourself. You entered this room about 30 minutes ago. None of you guys thought you'd be actually meeting and approaching girls, but that's not happening. For the next 90 minutes before you guys come back to the room, we're gonna actually have you guys do an approach. So this time, instead of sending them to all different locations, I sent all of them to Harrods. And they each had to approach 3 girls. The thing is, there's not that many girls in Harrods, so all of them are approaching the same girl. One guy would approach a girl, and she'd say, he would tell his story. At the end, we do a debrief. He told a story and said, oh, I approached this girl, and she was so awesome. She was really into me, and she had a boyfriend. And then the other student in another room said, no, she lied to me. She told me she did. And it was really fun. So anyway, I did this world tour, and it was a crazy schedule. It looked like this, where basically I had different kinds of seminars, different kinds of programs. I did them all over the world and every day, and I managed my schedule completely myself, just using my own tools like Expedia and all these other global travel tools. So if you guys are interested in global travel and such, I'll share with you guys some tools later on. But I use this stuff, and I also utilized the loyal membership. So what we did was we developed an amazing fan base, just because we offered so much content. I mean, for the first few months of releasing this site, RSD Nation, we spent maybe 4 to 8 hours a day for like a few months, every single day, just posting on it, until nowadays we don't spend that much time posting. We have articles, and they're front page articles, and the amount of time it takes to make these articles is a lot. It's like a complete videos with blogs, and every single day there's new content from instructors from different cities from all over the world, so you get to go through their adventures with them. We utilize this so that I could actually couch surf, so I could find volunteers, people to give me housing, hosting, volunteer to work for us. So in the last 4 years, I've been to 103 countries. I took my wife to 53 of them. I stopped doing a world tour after I met my wife. I actually met her on an entrepreneurs organization retreat. It's like an annual retreat where the EO creates board advisors for you. And she was just walking down the street, and I was walking the opposite direction. And some guys were trying to pick her up. I engaged her in conversation, got her to face more towards me, and I brought her to have some sushi. And I've been together with her now for 4 years. We got married on 12/12/12, so we're newlyweds. Actually got married on my 100th country, which is the Maldives. Rented a private island, and if you do a Google search for my name and wedding proposal, you could actually see the video because I posted it for everyone to see. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, we just got married in Hawaii, and then we did a honeymoon in Tahiti and Bora Bora, and I just came back, and now I've been just focusing on ramping up the business again. So it's been really fun, and I'd like to share with you guys a lot of my business stories about what I'm really working on, and kind of like go through the history of how we evolved and how our business also evolved.